Every hero has a sword, but in Adventure Time, Finn's swords are more than just weapons. They're reflections of who he is, who he was, and who he's trying to become. Each one carries a lesson that he didn't ask for, about identity, pain, love, and growing up. When you trace them from start to finish, they don't just tell his story, they reveal something much deeper. And that story begins with the Golden Sword, also known as Scarlet, Finn's first sword. It's quite possible that this blade is the first one to have been passed on to him by Joshua. Finn carried it because it made him feel ready, like he could step into the role he dreamed of, becoming a real hero. You catch the spirit of it right away in Tree Trunks. Finn runs straight into danger and slices through different evil forest creatures without any plan. He's only 12, fearless, eager, and convinced that as long as he has a sword and good intentions, everything will turn out fine. It's the kind of confidence that comes from being young and still too immature to see the real risks. And that's what Scarlet represents, the first stage of growing up, where confidence comes naturally and you feel unstoppable. Symbolically, the sword also reflects that first growing up stage. The blade is chipped, dented, and already worn down. In other words, it's imperfect, just like Finn. He doesn't fully know how to fight just yet. He's got no perfect technique, just blunt force. Also, the sword doesn't shine and reflect, just like Finn, who doesn't have much self-reflection in this stage. Except for the Business Time episode when the sword was polished by the businessmen, in which Finn also self-reflects on working with them and chooses not to. But this fight first, think about a plan later version of Finn starts to shift by the real you. Finn wants to impress Princess Bubblegum, so he invented a bubble creator using the glasses of Nerdicon. He leans on artificial smarts, trying to prove he's more than just brave. But when that bubble creator accidentally creates a black hole, Finn only has one way to save the day.
Finn, don't do anything stupid!
I can't help it, man! I'm all about stupid!
He impales the rogue bubble creator with his scarlet sword, warping it into the fourth dimension, and then leaps into the black hole with his new four-dimensional sword. It works, and the black hole collapses. But Finn's iconic golden sword is lost in the process, ending its lesson by showing that you don't always grow by holding on. Sometimes, growth begins when something slips out of reach, and you realize the only way forward is without it. But Scarlet wasn't the only sword that left something behind, because the next sword we're talking about didn't vanish in an explosion or shine with heroic glow. It stayed. After losing Scarlet, Finn doesn't dwell on it, but something shifts. He's not just chasing monsters anymore, he's beginning to think about why he fights, how he protects, and what happens if things go wrong more and more often. You can already see it in Mystery Train, when Finn first picks up a new weapon, the Root Sword. The reckless energy is still there, but there's caution creeping in, a little more thought, a little more doubt. And later in the episode Meow, that shift becomes even clearer. Finn doesn't just charge into battle like he used to, he takes his time. He studies Meow's movements and waits for the right moment before striking. Until, of course, he finishes it the only way Finn can, by yeeting the sword into a tree. I guess that's why it's called a root sword after all. Because symbolically, that's exactly what this sword represents. Finn starting to ground himself. This blade is simple, stable, and unflashy, just like Finn's approach. He's learning that being a hero isn't always about running in first. Sometimes it's about staying calm, about thinking things through, about planting your feet and holding your ground, even when it's scary. The Root Sword marks Finn's first real steps towards maturity. Less about proving himself, more about protecting others. And for the first time, starting to understand that fighting comes with consequences. He uses this sword in later episodes as well, in between other swords. It's a stable weapon that he can always fall back on, one of the few he doesn't actually break or lose. Now, if Scarlet represents the first stages of growing up, and the Root Sword was Finn becoming more grounded, then the Demon Blood Sword becomes a turning point where Finn confronts inheritance. This sword wasn't found or crafted, it was inherited, handed down by Joshua, Finn's adoptive father, more as a trial than a gift. Joshua doesn't leave behind affection very well. He leaves a recording that mocks and dares.
I bet you won't even get past the first trial, you whiny baby.
Finn challenges the trials, and to get the demon blood sword, he first has to overcome his own self-doubt. That's the first lesson this new blade brings. It's the beginning of a truth. We don't just inherit gifts from those who raise us, we inherit their burdens, like emotional scars, too, sometimes without even realizing it. Now, Finn carries this sword for a while, but its next lesson comes in the episode Playdate. Keoth, the demon from which the blood of the sword was formed, is summoned by Ice King and Abracadaniel, leaving Finn at a crossroad.
If you do not willingly return my stolen blood, I will destroy him and him.
Either Keoth is going to kill Ice King and Abracadaniel, or Finn returns the blood from which the sword was crafted from to its original owner.
I just can't do it, Jake. This is Dad's sword. You don't have any other choice. Do it.
That's when it taught him sacrifice, even if it meant losing one of the last physical reminders of his late adoptive father Joshua. But the Demon Blood Sword saga doesn't end there. Once Keoth got his blood back, he kidnaps Jake, thinking Jake is Joshua as the demons still got some beef with him. Instead of jumping straight into a fight with the demon, Finn actually gets resourceful. He crafts a new identical sword with grape juice instead of demon blood, and gets it blessed by a priest. And when he finally challenges Keoth with his new sword, it works. The demon mistakes the blessed frozen grape juice sword for real demon blood.
Demon blood.
So when Keoth thinks he's sucked out all the demon blood of this new sword, Finn pulls an Uno reverse and hits him with the...
Except it's not demon blood. It's a frozen grape juice that was blessed by the priest.
Making the demon explode once and for all. This time, the sword taught him something more than just sacrifice. Because in that moment, the sword stops being a weapon. It becomes a choice between fighting like Joshua or solving like Finn. And Finn doesn't carry on the legacy. He rewrites it. That's when the real meaning of the Demon Blood Sword comes through. We carry things from those who come before us, their strengths, their struggles, their mistakes, their bloodthirstiness perhaps. But growing up means deciding what to do with that inheritance. Finn doesn't reject it blindly, he respects where it came from, but he doesn't let it define him. Because the real lesson is, you're not bound by what you are given. You get to choose who you become, and you can remake yourself, even if it's out of grape juice. But what happens when that choice is actually taken from you? That's exactly what happened with Finn when he bought the Grass Sword. It's different, and doesn't carry someone else's past, and yet it fuses with Finn's present. And once it's in, it doesn't leave. But this isn't just a weapon, it's a curse.
That sword is cursed!
And the curse shows itself in control. Every cut is too clean, every move is too precise. It's like the sword is making choices for him. Soon, Finn realizes that it's controlling him, so he tries to push it away. But this isn't a sword you can own. It's one you carry, whether you want it or not. And the only way Finn gets to control it is by learning to accept it. And when he did, it merged together with his arm. In Escape from the Citadel, that arm tries to help out when Finn holds on to Martin.
Dad, stop!
Sadly, that's to no avail. The sword tries whatever it can, and in the struggle, his arm is torn off. As he sinks into the water, a single drop of Guardian blood hits the stump, and from that wound, a small flower begins to grow. By Breezy, that flower is still there. It droops as Finn shuts down emotionally, refusing to deal with the pain, but when he finally lets himself open up, singing along with Breezy, the flower grows into a full tree. It splits apart, leaving a wooden stump. Finn snaps it off and finds his real arm underneath. Only now there's a thorn in his palm, a trace of the sword that never really left. And that's what the Grass Sword represents: acceptance. Accepting that the sword was a part of him, whether he liked it or not. Accepting that his dad was not the person he expected to be, and accepting that he lost his arm. It teaches that power doesn't come cleanly. Sometimes it leaves something behind, a burden you didn't ask for, a change you can't reverse. And once it's part of you, there's no undoing it, only learning how to carry it. But what if what's left behind is another version of you? The Finn sword carries that answer. It's created in Is That You? When a timeline split traps another version of Finn inside a sword. Same memories, same heart, but frozen in time in a blade.
This is me? This sword is me?
Fin sword, dude.
When Finn starts using the sword, he isn't just carrying a weapon, he's carrying a literal piece of himself. We see it in I Am a Sword. At first, Finn treats it casually, swings it like any other blade, even jokes about it,
What do you think, Fin Sword? Should we stay out a little longer?
until he drops it, and the sword literally falls into the hands of the bandit princess.
Fin number 2, if you can hear me. This gray area wet wipe is using me against my will. Please find me soon.
In that moment, it stops being just a sword. It becomes an actual part of Finn, one that doesn't want to be used for harm. That version of him in the sword never got a chance to heal. It was left behind, confused and alone, showing that we don't always stay whole. Parts of who we were can splinter off, get lost, or come back in ways we don't expect. But how we treat the broken parts of ourselves and face our own shadow shapes who we become. It's a reminder that ignoring your past doesn't erase it, it just lets it grow in the dark. And that's exactly what happens in the case of Fern. After the Fin sword is accidentally broken in I Am a Sword by being stabbed by the grass sword, a fragment of the grass sword becomes lodged in its gem. Then, in Reboot, the grass sword fully detaches from Finn and merges with the damaged sword. From that fusion, two pieces tied to Finn's past, a new being is born, Fern. Now, if you want to know exactly what Fern taught Finn, click here to watch that separate video on him, but for now, we're skipping it. What matters here is what came after, because once Fern was gone, something shifted again. For the first time, Finn isn't reacting to a broken sword, a cursed blade, or a painful loss. He's not trying to replace what was taken from him, he's getting a brand new one. And that's where the Night Sword enters. In Marcy and Hudson, Peppermint Butler presents Finn with this new blade as a replacement for his old cursed grass sword.
This sword is also cursed, but it has a compass in the hilt.
He jokes that it's cursed, just like so many of Finn's prior swords, but there's something else unique about this one, a compass hidden in the hilt. And Finn simply replies,
Neat.
That's it, no hesitation, no fear, just acceptance. Finn doesn't flinch at the idea of the curse, because he understands that not all darkness is destructive. Some can be useful if you know how to handle them. That's the lesson this sword carries. Maturity means learning to live with your darkness without letting it take over. It means facing what hurts and choosing how to move forward, your own internal compass. You don't have to act on every feeling. You don't have to follow every thought. Real growth begins when you stop letting pain lead the way. He's learned from his mistakes, like the one he made with Flame Princess, and he's not making them again. That's a reflection of Finn's growth, his ability to stay calm in the middle of chaos. His strength now comes from focus. And if you ask me, it also looks freaking sweet. But perhaps the most telling part of all is what happens next. Later, Finn seemingly passes the Night Sword on to Sweet Pea, assuming Sweet Pea didn't forge one himself, making it one of the first major weapons he willingly lets go of. Because by then, Finn doesn't need it to define who he is anymore. The sword becomes a tool for someone else's growth, just like Finn has moved beyond needing it for his own. That act of letting go is also a lesson in itself. Real strength isn't what you hold onto. It's what you can release when the time is right, and perhaps by giving direction to someone else who needs it. Now, these aren't the only swords Finn has ever carried. Over the course of the series, there are plenty of one-off weapons, temporary blades, joke swords, brief replacements, but those aren't really what define his growth, though they do have their own lessons. The swords we've focused on here are the ones that mark real turning points. Some gave him strength, some hurt him, and some just reminded him of who he really was. And together, they tell the story of growing up. Because in Adventure Time, even a sword isn't just a weapon. It's a memory, a lesson, and a reflection of the person holding it. And if this sword journey hit deeper than you expected, wait until you see the story of the sweetest character with the darkest past. Click here to watch it.